Ellen DeGeneres changed my life twice. Once when she hired me, and once when she showed me what she really was. I was 29 when I got the call. Assistant producer for her new Netflix special. For your approval. It felt like redemption. I'd been blacklisted from 3 studios after a set incident nobody wanted to talk about, and suddenly Ellen's team wanted me specifically. The offer came through a private email. No agency, no formal interview. Just a date, a time, and an address in Montecito I'd never seen on any map. The first red flag should have been the house itself. It wasn't on Google Earth. I checked 3 times during the drive up the coast. The GPS kept rerouting, taking me down service roads that didn't appear on any map until finally, there it was. A sprawling estate that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, sitting alone on a cliff overlooking the Pacific. Ellen answered the door herself. No assistant, no security, just her in casual clothes with that famous smile that never quite reached her eyes. "You're early," she said, though I was exactly on time. "I like that. It means you're afraid of disappointing people." She stepped aside, motioning me in. Fear is useful. It keeps people honest. The house was wrong. Not dirty, not messy, just wrong. Every room felt like a stage set, perfectly arranged but hollow. Furniture that looked expensive but uncomfortable. Art on the walls that your eyes couldn't quite focus on. And the temperature, it dropped 5 degrees every time we moved deeper inside. She led me to what she called her creative space, a windowless room in the center of the house. Inside was a single desk, a ring light, and walls covered in photographs. Thousands of them. Every guest who'd ever appeared on her show, arranged in perfect chronological order from 2003 to 2022. But their faces, something was wrong with their faces. They weren't smiling in the photos. They were blank, neutral, like passport pictures. Like before and after shots, but all the after photos were missing. "Do you know what made my show successful?" Ellen asked, running her finger along the wall of faces. "Everyone thinks it was kindness, positivity, dancing." She laughed, a sound like ice cracking. But it was really about extraction. Every person who sat in that chair gave me something. They just didn't realize it at the time. I tried to laugh it off, treating it like dark Hollywood humor, but she turned to face me, and her expression was completely serious. Dead serious. "I need you to understand something before we start working together," she said quietly. "The special we're making, it's not comedy. It's a confession, and I need someone who can handle what that means." The first recording session happened at 3 a.m. Ellen insisted on overnight shoots, claiming her energy was clearer after midnight. The crew was small, just me, a camera operator named Marcus who never spoke, and a sound engineer I never actually saw, just heard through the monitors. Ellen performed to an empty room. No audience, no laughter track, just her talking directly into the camera with the kind of intensity that made your chest tight. She talked about her career, her cancellation, the accusations. But the way she described it, everything sounded backward. "They said I was cruel," she said, pacing the small stage we'd built in her basement. "They said I made people feel small, invisible, but they never asked why." She stopped, stared directly into the lens. "You can't give away what you don't have." And I stopped having it years ago. The kindness, the warmth, the humanity. I traded it. I was watching through the monitor and I noticed something. In the playback, there was a flicker, just for a frame, maybe two. Ellen's reflection in the black backdrop didn't match her movements. It moved a half-second too late, like it was lagging. "Did you see that?" I whispered to Marcus. He didn't look away from his camera. "See what?" Her reflection. It was... "Don't," he said flatly. "Don't ask questions. Just do your job." After the session, Ellen asked me to stay behind. She wanted to show me source material for the special. She led me to another room, one I hadn't seen before, hidden behind what looked like a regular closet door. Inside was a small screening room, old-fashioned with a projector and a single chair facing the screen. "This is where it started," she said, loading a film reel I didn't recognize. 2001, the pilot that never aired. The footage was grainy, dated, clearly from the early 2000s, but it wasn't a sitcom. It was Ellen, younger, sitting alone in a dark room, talking to someone off camera. The conversation was one-sided. We only heard her responses. "Yes, I understand." "No, I won't tell anyone." "How long will it last?" "Forever." Then silence. Ellen on screen stood up, walked toward the camera until her face filled the frame and whispered, "It's a deal." The film caught fire, literally. The projector sparked, the reel melted, and Ellen calmly shut it off like it happened all the time. "That's when I stopped being me," she said softly. "That's when I became Ellen DeGeneres' trademark. The brand, the smile, the monster." Over the next 2 weeks, I started noticing things. Patterns. Ellen's house had more people in it than I'd thought, but they didn't act like staff. They moved like shadows, always in peripheral vision, never fully there. Once, I turned a corner and saw 3 people standing perfectly still in the hallway, facing the wall. When I blinked, they were gone. Marcus finally spoke to me on day 9. We were packing up equipment when he pulled me aside. "You're new, so you don't know," he said, voice low. "But the people you keep seeing, they're not people anymore. They're echoes." Echoes of what? Of everyone who worked too close to her for too long. Assistants, producers, writers. They didn't quit. They just faded. She took something from them, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but the shape of where they used to be. I thought he was messing with me until I checked the crew list. There were names on the call sheet that didn't match any person I'd met. Marcus pointed one out. Stephanie Harlow, line producer. I'd never seen her, never heard her name called, but every day there was a credit for her work. "Where is she?" I asked. Marcus just pointed at the hallway where I'd seen the 3 figures. "She's here." She's always here. That night, Ellen called me into her office. She was watching footage from the special, replaying the same 10-second clip over and over. It was her mid-sentence, talking about regret. But in the background, barely visible, a figure moved across the frame. Tall, rigid, featureless. "Do you see him?" Ellen asked. "See who?" "The Trickster," she said simply. "He's been with me since 2001, closer than a shadow. He's the one who gave me everything. And now, he's the only thing I have left." She turned to face me, and for the first time, I saw her without the mask. Her eyes were hollow, ancient, wrong. "He needs new faces," she said, "new energy. That's why I'm making this special. It's not for the audience. It's for him. And you're going to help me finish it." The final shoot was different. Ellen had constructed a confessional booth in the center of the basement. Old wood, Catholic style, with a dark screen separating two sides. She sat on one side. I was told to sit on the other. "We're going to do something raw," she explained through the partition. "I'm going to confess everything, and you're going to record it." The camera was running. I could hear her breathing on the other side, slow, rhythmic, wrong. Then she started talking. "I didn't choose this. I want you to know that. In 2001, I was desperate. My show was canceled, my career was over, I was a punchline. And then he came to me in a dream. Or maybe I was awake, I don't remember anymore. He offered me a deal, love, fame, loyalty, everything I'd lost. But in exchange, I had to give up something I didn't think mattered." "What was it?" I asked, even though I wasn't supposed to speak. "My reflection," she whispered. "Not literally, metaphorically. I gave up the ability to see myself clearly, to feel what I was doing to others. Every time someone sat in that chair, every time they laughed at my jokes, every time they cried during a giveaway, I fed on it. Their joy, their relief, their trust. And he collected it, stored it, used it to keep me going. The temperature dropped, I could see my breath. And now the deal is ending. The show is over, the world moved on, and he needs a new host. Someone fresh, someone people still believe in." I stood up. "I'm not doing this." "You already did," Ellen said. And when I looked down, I saw it. My shadow on the wall wasn't mine anymore. It was moving on its own, reaching, stretching toward the screen between us. "You signed the contract," Ellen said. "You ate the food in my house. You stayed past midnight. That's how he works. Consent doesn't have to be spoken. It just has to be accepted." I ran. I don't remember much after that. Just the hallways twisting, doors that led to the same room, Ellen's laughter echoing from every direction. And then I was outside, in my car, speeding down the coast as the sun rose behind me. I didn't hear from Ellen for 3 months. Then the special dropped on Netflix. "For your approval." I didn't want to watch it, but I had to know. The first 20 minutes were exactly what I'd recorded. Ellen alone, confessing, talking about her regrets. But then, around the 23-minute mark, something changed. The camera angle shifted, and there I was, sitting in the confessional, listening, nodding, smiling. Except I didn't remember smiling. I didn't remember agreeing with anything she said. But there I was, on screen, co-signing every word. The special ended with Ellen staring into the camera, her face blank, and saying, "The thing about kindness is that it was always just a trick. And now, it's your turn." The screen went black. Within hours, my phone exploded. Friends, family, old colleagues, all asking the same thing. Why did you help her? Why did you agree to be part of this? I tried explaining. I told them I didn't know I was being filmed like that she edited me in, that it wasn't real. But nobody believed me, because the footage was there, clear, undeniable. And worse, I started noticing it. My reflection in mirrors, it lagged. Just a half second. Just enough to make me freeze every time I saw it. A week after the special aired, I saw the first echo. I was walking through a grocery store when I spotted someone standing motionless in the frozen food aisle. A woman, mid-30s, staring at nothing. When I passed her, she turned her head slowly, mechanically, and smiled. Ellen's smile. It happened again at a coffee shop. A man in line, same blank expression, same unnatural stillness. When the barista called his name, he didn't respond. Just stood there until someone physically moved him aside. I started seeing them everywhere. On the street, in parking lots, at the gym. People who looked normal until you really watched them. People who'd stopped being people. I tried to find Marcus, the camera operator. His number was disconnected. His social media hadn't been updated since the week we wrapped. I drove to the address listed on his crew paperwork. The apartment was empty. Not moved out empty. Erased empty. No furniture, no dust, no proof anyone had ever lived there. Then I got an email. No subject line, just a video attachment. When I opened it, it was security footage from Ellen's house, dated the night I ran. The video showed me in the basement, sitting in the confessional booth. But I wasn't alone. There was something behind me. Tall, dark, shifting. And as I stood up to leave, it didn't follow me. It walked into me, merged with my shadow. The email had no sender, just a single line of text below the video. You were always going to be the next one. I'm writing this now because I don't have much time. The echoes are getting closer. My reflection doesn't just lag anymore, it moves on its own. Last night I woke up to find it standing at the foot of my bed, watching me sleep. Ellen called me yesterday. I don't know how she got my new number. It's almost complete, she said, sounding tired, relieved. You're doing so well. Better than I ever did. I'm not doing anything, I said. Yes, you are, she replied. You're telling the story. You're spreading it. Every person who watches the special, every person who reads about it, hears about it. They're making contact. They're accepting the terms without knowing it. That's how the trickster works. Through repetition. Through belief. I didn't agree to this. You watched the special, she said simply. You ate the food in my house. You stayed past midnight. You're telling the story right now. That's all the agreement he needs. She hung up. I looked in the mirror. My reflection smiled back at me. Except I wasn't smiling. This morning I received a package. No return address. Inside was a single VHS tape, labeled in silver marker. The Kindness Pact. Final recording. I don't have a VCR anymore, but somehow I knew exactly where to find one. It was waiting in my closet, plugged in, ready, like it had always been there. I haven't watched the tape yet, but I know what's on it. I know because I can feel it. The pull, the invitation, the same one Ellen accepted in 2001, the same one Marcus accepted, the same one all the echoes accepted before they stopped being people. And here's the thing I need you to understand. If you've read this far, if you've watched the special, if you've thought about Ellen, about the trickster, about what happens when you trade your reflection for fame, you've already made contact. You've already been seen. And soon, very soon, you'll get your own invitation. A phone call, an email, a dream, a package. It'll feel like a choice. But just like my envelope, just like Ellen's deal, the choice was made the moment you started paying attention. The trickster doesn't need your permission. He just needs your curiosity. And now that you've read this, now that you've wondered, now that you've looked for your reflection and checked to see if it moves the same way you do, you're already part of the cycle. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you really looked at your shadow? Are you sure it's still yours?